Yeah, you gonna help Papi?
Yes.
Yeah, you gonna fix it?
No, not on there.
There?
Yes, yes.
You fixing the car? Are you fixing it?
Yes. Nope.
Alright guys, MR.TwoSix checking back in. Today we're going to install the PRL Stage 1 intake. I'm going to show you what comes in the box. So you get the intake tube, the worm clamps to hold the intake tube, you need that. I got the option with the breather tube, which is just, you know, to make the engine bay a little bit pretty. It really doesn't do anything. And then finally, well, you also get a PRL sticker because you know that adds about 5 horsepower. Gotta have my stickers. And then finally we have the green filter, panel filter. And this is where all the magic happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this stuff apart. I'm gonna show you guys step by step what needs to be taken off, and then we'll put it back together.
Go.
Alright guys, so first things first, protection. So I don't know if you guys know this, but usually when you put on nitrile gloves, any kind, you want to double it up. Why do you want to double it up? Because when you only put one on and it breaks or something, you go to take it off and you go to put on the other one, your hands are wet from the sweat, so it makes it harder to put on the next one. So you double it up, or however many you want. I just do 2. So at least when the top one rips, you take that off, you got the new glove right under, and you're ready to go. Yeah, so that's my tip for the day. Go. I'll give you go.
I should have gotten that.
Alright, so tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need a Phillips. You're gonna need an 8mm ratchet, and this is for the airbox. And you're gonna need a set of pliers if you're gonna be changing the breather hose. If not, you don't need the pliers, and you could pretty much use the Phillips for everything, because the Phillips connects the worm clamps on the intake tube, on the, well, you don't even need to take it off the MAF sensor, and on the cover of the airbox. There's 4 Phillips screws. So yeah. Alright guys, we're gonna start off by loosening the worm clamps on the intake tube. So just use your Phillips, loosen it up. See if I can do it the other way first. Let's see, this one loosened up real good. Alright guys, after you loosen it up, just, you know, wiggle it just a little bit. This side, it does not want to come out. There we go. Now let's see, it's there you go. Okay. Alright guys, so what we did is tight on the inlet side of the turbo is this notch goes into the tube right here. So what I ended up doing is I had to twist it and then pull. So I twisted it and then pull. On the airbox side, just loosen it up and wiggle it out, and it comes out nice and easy. So that's pretty much it. So before I put the new intake tube in, I'm gonna deal with the airbox right now. So using my 8mm, just gonna loosen the bolts. Ready?
Yeah.
Alright, so once you guys loosen the 4 bolts, they do not come out completely. which is fine, which is better, so that way you don't lose them. You just pull up on the air box, and voila, there is the filter. So that's what you're going to replace with the green filter. And just as a point of reference, this car has about 2,000 miles on it, so the filter's pretty clean. I mean, look at that. I mean, there's some dirt there, but other than that, it's pretty clean. So this is the OEM filter, this is the green filter. As you can see, I mean, the difference in size is huge. I would say it's about 1.5 inches thinner than the OEM filter. Granted, the OEM filter is also like a cloth based filter, where the green filter is oil based, or it's an oiled filter, not oil based. But yeah, that's probably where the extra power comes from, because the air doesn't have to go through such thick of an element. So with that said, at least the power that's claimed, you know, I believe it's 5 horsepower and 8 pound-feet of torque, something like that. All right, so let's get this in here. All right, so looking at the filter, this does go one way, and you can know that by this little tab right here. This little tab, looking at the air box, fits right there in that tab of the air box. So okay, let's see how this goes. Alright, so we're back from the potty break. So like I was saying, so there's this little notch here in the filter. That notch has to fit in the air box. So this is the top of the air box. So there's a little notch here just for that. And just placing the filter in there, you can tell that that notch has to go towards the front of the car. So with that said, let's put the filter in. Let's get the box situated. Press down. And we are semi good to go. I don't want to tighten things down yet, because I want to get the inlet tube on. And then I'll tighten everything down. So we'll be back with that. Alright, so now we're going to put on the tube. So how are we going to do this? So first, I'm going to get the clamp on. And I'm going to have the clamp on in a way so I can easily access it. And now you guys should do that for all clamps on anything. You know, position them in a way where you can access them after the fact. So first, I'm going to deal with the harder side, which is the turbo inlet side first. That slid on fairly easily. So now the only thing I have to deal with is the air box. So since I did not tighten down the air box, I'm just gonna pull it off. And so with that off, I have my one clamp ready to go, and I have my other. So I'm gonna
Go.
Alright, so we're back. So now, with the top of the air box loose, I'm gonna push this in to the inlet tube, and that just went in like butter. Calling that done. Now, there we go. Now the new worm clamps have a flat head, so it could either be flat head or that's too small. See if the 8. Oh, and 8mm, perfect. Now I'm gonna tighten it down with the ratchet. That's good. Alright, so that's that. Next is the breather hose. So that, sorry, is just two of these clamps. So you will need pliers in order to squeeze them. So you just squeeze and pull. Same thing on the other side. Squeeze, shimmy, and pull. Now all we got to do is pull it off the inlet tube and the, oh, is this one still caught? This one might be still caught. Okay, we're not in the clear yet. Make sure you have this completely off the plastic from the inlet tube. Alright, so the breather tube is a little bit of a pain to take off. So what you can do is you can get two flatheads, the smallest that you have, lodge one in to create a space where you can take the second one and shove it in there. And then what you're gonna do is just gonna pry until it comes off. Okay? We're almost off. Okay? There we go, and we are off. So that's one side. Sometimes these things are just difficult to take off, and that's just the way it is. Once you get one side off, then you have leverage, because you could pull on the end of the side you just took off to take off the other, and that's it. There you go. So to put the breather tube on, again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put the two worm clamps that it comes with. You're going to put them on the tube before you place them on back on the engine and the inlet tube to the turbo. And again, you want to position them in a way so you would have access to them after the fact. So let's put this on. So I'm gonna try and put this on in reverse order. So I'm gonna put the smaller end goes to the engine cover. So just slide that in. That's what she said. Come on, baby, you're supposed to help me here.
Sorry.
That's this. You're supposed to catch me on all those. And then with that in, I'll move this clamp out of the way a little bit. The only other thing I have to do is stick the this bigger end into the inlet tube. And luckily the breather tube that PRL supplies is flexible enough that I should be able to do it without an issue. I mean, you'll get a kink now getting it on, but once it's on, once it's positioned, come on. There we go. And use a flathead to help you position the tube around the inlet. And then at that point, you're just making sure it is on completely. And that's it. Tying down the clamps, and your money. That should be it, and you're good. That's a PRL Stage 1. Now we're gonna see how it sounds, if there's any added sound to it. Alright, so as you can see, there's not much difference in sound. I had the TSP Stage 1 on there, and I was just revving it now in sport mode. So yeah, we'll take it for a drive. We'll see if I feel anything different, and I'll give you my final impression. Alright guys, so it does make a little bit of a whistling sound. I'm gonna see if we can get it on camera. I'm gonna have a GoPro pointing towards the front of the car, so we'll see. So you can hear it like a smidge. You hear the turbo spool a little bit. You're not gonna get the psh sound. You're just gonna hear the psh a tiny bit. So I'm gonna get around some traffic here, and I'm gonna show you guys. All right, Harry, dropping the hammer. You really couldn't hear it. There's too much wind. But when you're going like at a slow speed, you hear the turbo spool. It's very faint, so it's not going to be too noticeable. And I could probably hear it because I have a wall next to me here on the passenger side, so the noise is just bouncing off. It's giving like a little bit of a reverb effect. So yeah, I'll give you my final thoughts when we get back inside in the air conditioning. So we're back home. Finally took a shower. It was 91 degrees outside. It was blazing hot, even though I was able to do most of it in a little bit of a shade. But when you have that temperature plus 60-80% humidity, yeah, it could get pretty brutal out there. So yeah, my thoughts on the intake. So it's basically just a panel filter with an inlet tube. It's not going to make that much of a difference. It probably makes the claimed 5 horsepower and 8 foot-pounds of torque, but that's not something you're going to feel necessarily. That's not something you're going to feel. But you know, there is a placebo effect. You change the part, it makes a little bit of noise, you feel like you're getting something out of it, and that's cool. I mean, at $90 for the whole thing, that's not a bad deal.